I'm Detective James, and this is the cases the news forgot.
My name is James Carter. I'm 56 years old now, and I've been a detective long enough to know that the badge doesn't protect you from everything. Some things don't care who you are or what you believe. I didn't always understand that. I learned it the hard way. Back then, I was working as a detective in a rural jurisdiction most people couldn't even find on a map. If you've never lived in a place like that, let me explain something first. Poverty isn't just about money. It's about time. It shortens lives. It bends people. It leaves scars you can't see on a crime scene photo. Unemployment was everywhere. Addiction was everywhere. Violence wasn't dramatic. It was quiet and constant. The kind that seeps into families and stays there for generations. We covered thousands of square miles with barely enough officers to fill a diner booth. You learned to prioritize fast because you couldn't save everyone. I came back after college because it was home. Most people who leave places like that never return. I don't judge them. Staying means carrying things other people don't have to. But my family had been there for generations. The land, the stories, the losses. They stick to you. You don't walk away from them. Not really. The work was what you'd expect. Domestic calls that went nowhere. Drugs that never stopped flowing. Drunk drivers on dark roads. Kids getting into trouble before they were old enough to understand consequences. And deaths. Too many deaths. Especially young ones. After a while, you stop being surprised. That's when the job really starts changing you. But there was another side to the work. A side they don't teach at the academy. A side that doesn't show up in training manuals or court transcript. There were protocols we followed that had nothing to do with procedure and everything to do with survival. They weren't written down. They were passed along quietly from older officers, from elders, from people who had seen enough to know when logic wasn't enough. 7 rules. That's all. Most outsiders would laugh if you told them. I used to think they were just stories meant to keep rookies cautious. Until I got older. Until I paid attention. One rule said never step into certain stone formations. Another said never follow unexplained sounds at night. Another warned about approaching things you shouldn't. And then there was the last one. The one no one liked to talk about. The one that made even seasoned officers uncomfortable. If someone reported seeing a man with 2 faces, you followed the protocol exactly. No eye contact, no direct approach, mirrors only. And if it came too close, you acted without looking and got out. My partner at the time didn't believe any of it. His name was Ryan. Army veteran, combat tours. Tough, smart, dependable under pressure. He believed in things you could see and measure. He trusted training, weapons, and evidence. Stories didn't impress him. We'd been working together for a couple of years. Good partnership most days. But whenever those old protocols came up, he brushed them off. Said it was superstition. Said we lived in a modern world. Cameras, forensics, science. Monsters didn't fit into his understanding of reality. I didn't argue much. He was older than me then, more experienced in life, at least in the ways people usually measure it. And part of me hoped he was right. But I grew up hearing the stories from my grandmother, from people who had nothing to gain by lying. She told me about the thing with 2 faces when I was a kid. Told me what happened if you looked at it. Told me some things didn't need proof to be real. I never forgot that. The call came in late, just before midnight. Cold night, clear sky, the kind where the stars feel close enough to touch. Dispatch said an elderly woman reported seeing someone near her property, someone with 2 faces. Ryan sighed. I felt my stomach tighten. Dispatch confirmed she wasn't drunk, wasn't confused. She was scared, truly scared. We acknowledged the call and headed out. Ryan joked about costumes, about people seeing things in the dark. I didn't respond. I just drove. Her house was at the edge of the community, old, quiet, the kind of place where shadows stretch too long at night. She was already outside when we arrived, wrapped in a blanket, shaking. Relief washed over her face when she saw us. She kept saying the same thing, that she knew how it sounded, that she knew what she saw. I believed her, and standing there under that porch light, with the cold creeping in and the night pressing close around us, I had a feeling I hadn't felt in a long time. The kind that tells you this call isn't like the others, and once you step forward, there's no stepping back. When Mrs. Blackbird finished speaking, the night felt heavier somehow, like the air itself had thickened. I asked her to walk me through it again, slowly. She tightened that blanket around her shoulders and said she'd been getting ready for bed around 11. Heard footsteps outside, not light ones, heavy, deliberate, the kind you feel more than hear. She told us she looked out her kitchen window, the one facing east. Nothing but open land out there, prairie stretching into darkness with no cover at all. She saw a man walking maybe 50 yards out, tall, dark clothes, moving slow. My partner asked if she was sure it was a man. She nodded without hesitation. Then I asked the question I already knew the answer to. I asked if she saw two faces. Her eyes filled with tears as she nodded again. She said at first she thought it was moonlight, shadows, her eyes playing tricks. But then the man turned just enough for her to see it. A second face, on the back of his head, looking backward while the rest of him kept walking forward. That was when my partner started writing things down like it was a routine call. I stayed quiet. I asked her about the elbows. That made my partner glance at me sharply. But Mrs. Blackbird said yes. She said they looked wrong, sharp, like blades. She told us she'd heard the stories all her life, from her grandmother, from her mother. She said she never believed them, not until that night. The man hadn't come toward her house, just walked past, but she said she felt watched, like both faces knew she was there. She told us he went south toward the creek and into the cottonwoods, and that he never came out the other side. I told her to stay inside, lock the doors, call us if she saw anything else. She didn't argue. She went back inside, and I heard the locks click one by one. As soon as we were back by the car, my partner dismissed the whole thing, said it was probably a transient, someone high, someone walking strange. He said people see what they expect to see. I told him she didn't expect anything. She was getting ready for bed. He said stories have a way of filling in gaps. Old beliefs, fear, that kind of thing. I told him protocol existed for a reason. He told me protocol existed because someone, long dead, got scared and wrote nonsense into department law. I could feel the argument building, but I let it go. I'd learned by then that when a man decides something isn't real, evidence rarely matters. I told him we'd follow protocol anyway, just in case. He sighed like he was indulging a child, but he agreed. We grabbed our flashlights and headed toward the cottonwoods. The creek was about a quarter mile away, running more than usual from recent rain. The trees along its bank formed a dark tunnel through the open land. We found the tracks almost immediately. Big boot prints, heavy tread, walking straight south. No wandering, no hesitation. My partner pointed and said it proved his point. I pointed out that nobody walks like that at midnight across open prairie unless they have a reason. He didn't answer. We followed the tracks into the trees. The moonlight disappeared under the canopy. Our flashlights became the only source of light. The tracks kept going. Same direction, same pace. Like terrain didn't matter. And then they stopped. Not faded, not washed out. Just gone. One clear print. Then nothing. My partner crouched and stared at the ground. Asked where the hell the guy went. I didn't have an answer. Then we heard footsteps again. deeper in the trees, heavy, slow, intentional. My partner called out, identifying us as police. The footsteps stopped, silence pressed in, just water moving over rocks. He started walking toward the sound. I grabbed his arm and told him to wait. He brushed me off, said it was just a person. I followed anyway, heart pounding, every story I'd ever been told running through my head. The footsteps started again, then stopped. We reached a small clearing by the creek. Moonlight filtered down through the branches. And there he was, tall, dark clothes, standing perfectly still, facing away from us. My partner told him to turn around. No response. He walked closer, told him again. I stayed back, every instinct screaming. The man turned. From where I stood, I saw it clearly. One face, normal enough, blank, human, and then the other, twisted, wrong, watching backward. I screamed at my partner not to look, but he already had. He froze, not figuratively, completely still. Eyes locked open. The thing smiled. Its elbows split, bone pushing through skin like knives being unsheathed. I remembered the rule. I closed my eyes, drew my weapon, fired. 4 shots. The sound echoed like thunder. When I opened my eyes, the clearing was empty. My partner dropped to his knees, gasping like he'd been underwater. I called it in. Then he told me not to. Said he was fine. Said it was just a moment of hesitation. I told him that wasn't hesitation. He wouldn't listen. On the ground near the creek, I saw something that made my blood run cold. 2 sets of footprints, starting from the same place. One heading south, one heading north, back toward town. We drove back in silence. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I knew the stories. I knew what came next. Slow changes. A second face growing where it didn't belong. At the station, I wrote a report that said nothing of what mattered. He went home. I stayed behind and made a call to a man who still remembered the old ways. Because if my partner had looked at that thing, time was already running out. By the time I pulled into Clayton's place, it was 2:34 in the morning. I remember the exact minute because I sat there staring at the dash for a second, trying to slow my breathing. I was 56 years old, had worked homicide and major crimes most of my life, and yet my hands were shaking like a rookie on his first night shift. Clayton was already waiting on the porch, blanket over his shoulders, pipe glowing in the dark. He didn't ask how I was, didn't ask why I was there. He just said, "Tell me everything." So I did. I told him about the call, about the old woman, about the tracks, about my partner walking up to something he should never have looked at. I told him how the thing turned, how my partner froze, how I fired without looking, how the clearing was empty afterward, and how my partner swore nothing supernatural had happened. Clayton listened the way old men who've buried too many truths always do. Quiet, still, like he was weighing every word. When I finished, he stared out into the dark and let the smoke drift upward. "Your partner is in danger," he said. I asked if there was a way to stop it, reverse it, undo whatever had started. He told me there were old ways, ceremonies, medicine, but the person had to accept what was happening, had to want help. I didn't even have to think before answering. My partner wouldn't. He never did. Clayton nodded. He told me then what would happen next. Headaches, mood swings, anger. Then the physical signs. A growth on the back of the head, changes to the arms, the elbows. He said when the second face was complete, the man I knew would be gone. I asked him what happened if it went that far. He looked at me with eyes that had seen too much history, too much blood, too many choices no one should have to make. He said the only way to stop it was to destroy both faces at the same time. Fire, or a single strike that ended both at once. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I drove back toward the station, feeling hollow. like everything solid in my life had turned brittle. I didn't sleep when my shift ended. I sat on my couch and stared at nothing, replaying the night over and over, looking for a moment where I could have changed something. At 9:15 that morning, my phone buzzed. A text from my partner said he felt terrible, said he was calling in sick. In all the years I'd known him, he'd never called in sick, not once. I asked if he was okay. He said he had a massive headache, just needed sleep. I called dispatch and asked them to flag anything strange from him. I didn't explain why. I couldn't. I tried to sleep, managed maybe 2 hours, woke up soaked in sweat from dreams filled with faces. Faces growing where they shouldn't. Faces watching from behind. That afternoon, I searched for anything I could find. Old records, academic papers, stories dismissed as folklore. One line stuck with me. The thing is not born, it is made. That night, I went in early hoping to see my partner. His truck wasn't there. Dispatch told me he'd extended his sick leave, said he sounded rough. Around 2:37 a.m., my phone rang. Clayton's voice was tight, urgent. He said the thing we'd encountered was gone, but something else was there now. Something growing. At my partner's house. I drove faster than I should have. Didn't use lights. Didn't call it in. When I arrived, his truck was in the driveway. Lights off. Door unlocked. That scared me more than anything else. Inside, the house smelled wrong. Metallic. Like old pennies and fear. I found him in his bedroom, fully clothed, lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling. He said his head felt like it was splitting open. I asked to check the back of his head. He resisted, then gave in. The bump was already there. Big, swollen, pulsing. When I told him something was wrong, his eyes changed. Anger poured out of him like heat. He shoved me toward the door and told me to leave. I did, because sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is stay when someone refuses to be saved. As I stood on his porch, my phone buzzed again. Another call waiting, another problem somewhere else. And behind me, through the window, I saw his shadow move. Something about it didn't look right. On my way out, I texted back a short reply, but as I walked toward my vehicle, my hand started shaking again. I stopped, pulled my phone back out, and called Clayton instead. He answered on the second ring. He has the bump, I said, base of his skull, and he's getting violent, aggressive. Clayton went quiet. Not the kind of silence where someone is distracted, the kind where they're measuring how bad things really are. How big? He asked. About the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bigger. That pause came back, heavier this time. Then you have less time than I thought, he said. Maybe 36 hours. After that, the face will be fully formed. I swallowed. What do I do? Bring him to me. By force, if you have to. I can perform a ceremony. Try to stop the transformation. But it has to be soon. He won't come willingly, I said. Then you'll have to make him, Clayton replied. Because if you don't, and he completes the change. He trailed off. I finished it for him. I know what happens. I hung up and sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. My mind was racing, jumping between options that all felt wrong. How the hell was I supposed to force Evan to get help? He was bigger than me, better trained, and whatever was growing inside him was making him unstable, stronger, meaner, and time was running out. The disturbance at the old community center turned out to be exactly what Nora said it would be. 3 teenagers, cheap vodka, broken windows, loud mouths trying to impress each other. I arrested them, called their parents, and spent nearly 2 hours buried in paperwork. By the time I got back in my cruiser, the sky was starting to lighten. It was after 5 in the morning, almost end of shift. I drove past Evan's house. His truck was still in the driveway, lights off, No movement. Every instinct told me to stop, to check on him again. But I knew how that would go. He wouldn't let me in, and pushing him now would only make things worse. So instead, I drove to Clayton's place. He was already awake, sitting on his porch despite the cold, pipe glowing softly in the dark. Before I could say a word, he looked up and nodded. "Come inside," he said. His house was warm. It smelled like sage and cedar, like something ancient and steady. Bundles of traditional medicine hung from the ceiling. In the corner, an altar stood with eagle feathers, stones, and objects I didn't recognize, but somehow trusted. "Sit," Clayton said. I sat. "He's getting worse," I told him. "More aggressive. The bump is growing." Clayton nodded slowly. "I know. I can feel it. The darkness is spreading." "How do we stop it?" I asked. He set his pipe down and looked at me seriously. "There is a ceremony. Very old, very dangerous." I waited. "It normally requires the person to willingly participate," he continued. "But we can modify it, force the darkness out, even if they resist." "But," I asked. "But it requires an anchor," he said. "Someone the person trusts, someone who can hold them in place while the ceremony is performed." I already knew what he was saying. "The person being transformed will fight," Clayton went on, "violently. They will try to stop us. They may try to kill us." "I can handle Evan," I said, though even as I said it, I wasn't sure it was true. Clayton studied me. "He's bigger than you, stronger, and the darkness gives him more strength. By tonight, he could be twice as strong as normal." "I don't have a choice," I said. "Either I try to save him, or—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "Or you kill him," Clayton said quietly, "before he kills someone else." I nodded. "When can we do it?" I asked. "Tonight," he said. "After dark. Bring him here by whatever means necessary. I'll prepare everything." "Okay," I said. "I'll bring him." Clayton stood and placed a hand on my shoulder. "If this doesn't work, if the transformation is too far along, you'll have to make a hard choice. End it quickly, mercifully, before the second phase is complete." "I know," I said. He searched my eyes. "Do you really understand what I'm asking?" "Yes," I answered, "and I'm still going to try to save him first." Clayton nodded. "Good, but be prepared. Saving him may not be possible." I went home and tried to sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Evan, about the bump on his head, about what it was becoming, about my late wife, and how she used to tell me I carried too much responsibility alone. She wasn't there anymore to stop me from doing it again. By noon, I gave up on sleep. I started preparing. First, I called the station and told them I needed to cover Evan's next shift, personal emergency. They agreed without questions. We were short-staffed anyway. Then I drove to a hardware store just outside town, bought heavy-duty zip ties, the kind meant for securing cargo, strong enough to restrain a person. I felt sick buying them, like I was betraying my partner, like I was planning something unforgivable. But Clayton was right. If we were going to do this, I needed a way to hold Evan in place. I spent the afternoon at the shooting range, firing round after round, trying to calm my nerves, trying to stay steady, trying not to think about what I might have to do if the ceremony failed. At 6 p.m., I drove to Evan's house. His truck was still there, no lights inside, same as the morning. I sat in my patrol vehicle for 10 minutes, working up the courage. Then I got out and knocked on the door. "Evan," I said. "It's James. I brought dinner. Figured you might be hungry." It was a lie, but I needed him to open the door. No response. I knocked again. "Come on, man. I'm worried about you. Just let me in for 5 minutes." The door opened. Evan looked worse than before. Pale, sweating, dark circles under his eyes. And when he turned, I saw the bump on the back of his head had doubled in size. Baseball-sized now, pulsing. "You look like hell," I said, forcing my voice to stay light. "Feel like it," he muttered. "Head won't stop pounding." "Maybe we should get you to a hospital," I said. "Could be a tumor or something." "It's not a tumor," he said flatly. "How do you know?" He turned and looked at me, and something in his eyes made my stomach drop. "Hunger. Because I can feel it," he said. "What's growing, what's coming, and it wants out." My hand drifted toward my weapon. "Evan," I said carefully, "what's happening to you isn't natural. It isn't medical. It's spiritual. There's someone who can help you, but you have to come with me. Now." "Who?" he asked. "Clayton. He's a medicine man." His voice changed. Deeper, wrong. "I don't need help." "Yes, you do." He smiled, and the smile showed too many teeth. "That thing on my head is mine, part of me, and soon it'll be complete." I started to speak. He moved faster than any human should. 1 second, he was across the room. The next, his hand was around my throat, lifting me off the floor. "You should have left me alone, James," he said. I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. I reached for my weapon, but he grabbed my wrist and squeezed until I felt bones grind. Black spots crept into my vision. Then I heard Clayton's voice. Calm, powerful, speaking words I didn't understand. Evan dropped me. I hit the floor, gasping. Clayton stood in the doorway, sage burning in his hand, chanting in the old language. Evan stumbled back, clutching his head, screaming, "Now, James!" Clayton shouted. I grabbed the zip ties. Evan was on his knees, the bump on his head pulsing violently. I pulled his arms back and secured them. He fought like an animal, stronger than anyone I'd ever restrained. But Clayton's words seemed to weaken him. "More ties," Clayton yelled. "Ankles." I secured his legs, then his knees. Evan screamed, real screaming, begging. "Get it out," he cried. "It's trying to come through." We dragged him to my patrol vehicle and loaded him in the back. He thrashed the entire drive. Clayton sat beside me, chanting, smoke filling the car. At Clayton's house, the ceremony room was ready. Stones in a circle, smoke thick in the air, sacred objects placed with purpose. We laid Evan in the center. He stopped screaming, just whispered over and over, "It wants out." The ceremony lasted 3 hours. 3 hours of chanting, smoke, convulsions, the bump swelling, splitting, then collapsing like a balloon. At 10:47 p.m., Evan went still. Clayton checked him. "It's gone," he said, "for now." I cut the zip ties. Evan lay there breathing shallowly. I left, uneasy. At 11:32 p.m., my radio crackled. Nora's voice, urgent. All units, multiple reports of a disturbance at the old Wounded Knee site. Witnesses describe a tall figure attacking people. Use extreme caution. My blood went cold. "Dispatch, this is Unit 7. I called over the radio. Description of the figure. Witnesses say it has 2 faces. One forward, one backward. Oh no. We'd saved Jordan, expelled the darkness from him. But the original Two-Face, the one that had looked at him, was still out there. Hunting. I hit lights and sirens and raced toward Wounded Knee. The site was about 8 miles from Clayton's house. Historical landmark, sacred ground. Site of the 1890 massacre, where the U.S. 7th Cavalry killed nearly 300 Lakota men, women, and children. Not a place you wanted evil things hunting. Dispatch, Unit 7. ETA 3 minutes. Any other units responding? Negative. Unit 4 is 40 minutes out. Unit 9 is handling a medical emergency. You're first on scene. Of course I was. Copy. Requesting backup from BIA or county sheriff. Already requested. County says 30 minutes minimum. I swore under my breath. 30 minutes against something that could freeze people with a look and kill them with blade-like elbows. My phone rang. Clayton. Tate, I heard the radio. You can't face Two-Face alone. I don't have a choice. People are in danger. Then remember, don't look at it directly. Use mirrors, peripheral vision. If you have to shoot, aim for the elbows first. Disable its weapons, and killing it. Fire or simultaneous destruction of both faces. Those are the only ways. Bullets won't stop it. It regenerates. Great. Just great. I'm waking Jordan. No. Keep him there. Keep him safe. He's been through enough. Tate, I'll handle this. But if I don't make it, make sure someone knows about Protocol 7. Make sure it's enforced. You'll make it. You have to. I hung up and focused on driving. Wounded Knee appeared ahead. Normally quiet at night, deserted. Tonight, vehicles were everywhere. Haphazardly parked, doors open, headlights on. But no people. I pulled up, grabbed my flashlight and shotgun, leaving the patrol vehicle's lights running. This is tribal police, I called out. Anyone here? Silence. I moved forward carefully, shotgun ready, scanning everything except directly ahead. 20 feet from the monument, I found the first victim. Middle-aged man, native, lying on his back, eyes wide, staring at nothing, expression frozen in pure terror. 2 wounds, deep, precise, on either side of the torso. The elbow blades, no pulse. Dead maybe 10 minutes. Deeper into the sight, 2 more bodies. A woman in her 30s, a teenage boy. Same wounds, same frozen terror. A sound behind me. I spun, shotgun up. Nothing, shadows. But I could feel it. Wrongness, watching. I know you're there, I called. I'm armed, I know how to stop you. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from multiple directions. Or was it just one set? Impossible to tell. Its 2 faces moved independently, scanning, tracking. I backed toward the patrol vehicle, shotgun ready. A figure emerged from behind the monument. Tall, dark, moving with that same unnatural gait. Two-Face. The forward-facing face almost human. Native features, anyone could have had them. Wrong expression, too blank, too empty. The backward-facing face grotesque, twisted, smaller, fully formed, eyes moving independently. Elbows extended, bone protruding through the skin, sharp, dripping with blood. Stop right there, I commanded. Don't come closer. It smiled, both faces in perfect synchronization, and charged. 3 rounds, center mass, hits. Saw the impact, stumbled slightly. Didn't fall, didn't stop. Elbow blades raised. I dove behind my patrol vehicle as one scraped across metal. Nails on a chalkboard. Rolled, came up firing again. This time aiming for the elbows. One shot connected, left blade shattered. It screamed. Both mouths at once, not human. Right blade still deadly. It came around the vehicle. I scrambled backward, avoiding eye contact. Foot caught, fell hard. Two-Face loomed over me. Right blade raised, both faces smiling. This is it. My death. Then headlights swept across the scene. Engine roar. Jordan's truck slammed into it at 40 miles per hour. Two-Face went flying, tumbling, coming to rest near the mass grave. Jordan jumped out, wild-eyed but focused. You okay? I told Clayton to keep you there. Yeah, well, Clayton's not my boss. He drew his service weapon. How do we kill this thing? Fire. Destroy both faces simultaneously. Nothing else works. Two-Face stirred. Left arm hanging wrong. Right blade cracked, still moving. Got any bright ideas? Jordan asked. I looked at the patrol vehicle, at the fuel tank, at road flares. Yeah, one. Crazy. That's your plan? Blow up a tribal police vehicle? Better idea. Two-Face fully upright. Both faces locked on us, moving again. How do we lure it? Jordan asked. Eye contact, I said. It hunts those who look at it. One of us, bait. Lead it to the vehicle. You're the bait. Tate, I'm faster, he said. Haven't been through what you have tonight. Move. Jordan ran to the vehicle, flares in hand, braking them, spreading fuel. Two-Face, 20 feet away, 15, 10. I looked at it. Forward-facing face, effect immediate, muscles locked, paralyzed. Two-Face approached, smiling with both faces. Right blade raised. Jordan slammed into me from the side. Line of sight broken. Paralysis gone. Run, he shouted. We scrambled. Two-Face behind us, close, breathing. Two sets of lungs, slightly out of sync. Jordan dove one way. I dove the other, split it, confused it. Two-Face chased me. Right blade swung, cut across my back. Shallow, fire, pain, almost at the vehicle. 10 feet, 5. I dove past, rolled, came up on the other side. Two-Face followed straight into the trap. Jordan struck a flare through it. The patrol vehicle exploded, massive fireball, heat, light, force. I was thrown backward, ears ringing, vision blurred. Through the smoke, two faces burned, screaming, not human, not animal, wrong. Flesh melted, bone burned, ash. Silence. I lay on the cold ground, staring, alive, barely believing it. Jordan offered a hand. You good? Define good, alive. I let him pull me up. We watched the flames, made sure Two-Face was gone. Thanks, I said, for the save, both saves. That's what partners do. He paused. I'm sorry, not believing you, breaking protocol, everything. You didn't know, couldn't have known. I should have trusted you. That's what matters. Because of you, we saved each other. He nodded, then looked at the three bodies. We should call this in. I pulled out the radio. Dispatch Unit 7. Situation resolved. Medical examiner, backup, and new patrol vehicle required. Copy. Are you injured? Nora asked. I touched my back. Bloody. Nothing major. We'll survive. We waited, standing guard, watching for anything else in the darkness. Are there more? Jordan asked. Maybe. Stories say they're rare, but if one's here, others could be too. Then we follow Protocol 7, he said. No more dismissing it as superstition. Agreed. The sun started to rise. Backup arrived. County sheriff's deputies, BIA agents, medical examiner. Everyone wanted to know what had happened. We told them the truth, mostly. Disturbance, victims, extremely dangerous suspect, officer-involved shooting, suspect killed in patrol vehicle explosion. No mention of Two-Face. They wouldn't have believed us anyway. Investigation took 3 weeks. Jordan and I put on administrative leave pending review. Standard procedure. Official report concluded our actions appropriate. Case closed. But I knew the truth. What we'd faced. What could happen again. There will be more, Clayton said. Two-Face is rare but not unique. Every few years, one appears. Sometimes we catch it. Sometimes we don't. I scrambled back, keeping the mirror between us, breathing hard. The left blade was still swinging, scraping the floor where my head had been moments ago. My shotgun recoiled with each shot, aimed only at the remaining elbow, trying to disable it before it could strike again. Two-Face's shriek echoed, both faces screaming in perfect, grotesque harmony. It spun toward me, the forward face twisting with anger, the backward face locked in that same unnatural grin. Its strength was unnatural, almost supernatural. I rolled behind a table, firing another round at the remaining blade. Sparks flew as metal met metal. It howled and lunged toward the broken furniture, shoving it aside as if it were paper. The terrified circle of people didn't move, their bodies frozen, eyes locked on the creature. My stomach churned at the helplessness of it. I grabbed a flare from my belt and lit it, waving it in the air, hoping to distract it. Two-Face's attention flickered, and for a brief moment, it hesitated. That was all I needed. I lunged for the storage room door, kicking it open wider, trying to maneuver it toward the exit and the street. I needed fire, needed to burn it. But I didn't have time to set up another vehicle trap, like a wounded knee. The only thing I had was the emergency flares and my shotgun. Two-Face advanced again. I fired, aiming at the broken elbow, watching it recoil in pain. Its forward face twisted, backward face still grinning. The creature's movement was erratic now, faster than normal human movement, yet slightly hesitant, injured, cornered. I could see the veins along the back of its head, the pulse of the second face beneath the skin. That bump, the second face, alive, feeding, growing stronger. If I didn't act now, I slammed the flare onto the floor, lighting the fuel I'd spread earlier in a small corner of the room. Smoke rose, flames licking at the edges. Two-Face recoiled at the heat, shrieking. I seized the moment. Another flare, another strike with the shotgun aimed at the remaining blade. Sparks and fire met flesh. Its shrieks reverberated off the walls. "Run!" I shouted to the frozen circle. Some began to move, breaking the paralysis as the heat and chaos disrupted Two-Face's focus. Others were still trapped, eyes wide, trembling. I backed toward the door, dragging them out one by one as Two-Face writhed, shrieking, the flames inching closer. Every step, every second, felt like an eternity. Then, the final moment. Two-Face lunged at me, blades aimed. I sidestepped, baiting it toward the growing fire. Its two faces twisted in confusion. Forward face rage, backward face malice. I fired the shotgun point blank at the second elbow, shattered it completely. It screamed. Not human, not animal, something in between. Flames licked its body, reflecting off both faces, melting flesh, consuming bone. I watched it twist, struggle, the fire devouring both forward and backward faces simultaneously, and then silence. Smoke filled the room, burning eyes, acrid, thick. I coughed, pulling myself and the survivors to safety. The circle of people stared at me, finally freed, trembling, alive. Outside, the fire spread to part of the storage room floor, but nothing else caught. I called dispatch. Unit 12. Situation contained. Multiple victims freed, suspect destroyed. Fire department en route. Medical assistance required. Breathing heavily, I looked back at the smoldering remains of Two-Face. Both faces gone. Ash and bone. I knew, though. As Clayton had warned, these weren't isolated incidents. There would be more. And until someone truly figured out how to stop them permanently, Protocol 7 was the only thing between life and death. I checked on the survivors, radioed for backup, and prepared to document everything. This was tribal jurisdiction. This was sacred ground. And this was the darkness that could strike again if we weren't vigilant. I thought of Jordan, of the bump on his head, of what he'd almost become, of the screaming faces in the flames. We'd survived tonight, but the war was far from over. I rolled, came up, firing. The second shot hit the left elbow. Both blades destroyed, but Two-Face didn't stop. It charged impossibly fast. Both faces locked on me. I ran down the hallway through the main room toward the front door. Behind me, I could hear it. Not running, something else. A sound like bones snapping and reforming, like the body was reconfiguring itself to move faster. I burst through the front door, spun around using the mirror to track it. Two-Face emerged from the community center, moving on all fours now, spider-like. The elbows had regrown, smaller, but still sharp. And the faces, God, the faces, both of them were looking at me, tracking me simultaneously. Fire or simultaneous destruction, I muttered under my breath. Fire or simultaneous destruction. I grabbed road flares, striking one and throwing it at Two-Face. It dodged, too fast. I struck another, this time aiming not at it, but at the dried grass near the community center. The fire spread, creating a wall between me and Two-Face. It hesitated, both faces swiveling to assess the threat. I ran to my patrol vehicle, grabbed the emergency fire extinguisher from the trunk. Not to put out the fire, but as a weapon. Two-Face cleared the flames, leaping 10 feet from me. I sprayed the extinguisher directly at both faces. The chemical foam blinded it temporarily. I dropped the extinguisher, drew my service weapon, and aimed at the forward face. "This is for everyone you've killed," I shouted. 3 shots fired point blank. Two-Face stumbled backward. The forward face was gone, destroyed, but the backward face remained. Its body began to turn, reorienting, making the backward face the new forward face, both faces. I needed fire, real fire, not just flares or burning grass. My patrol vehicle still had gas. I grabbed the siphon hose from the emergency kit, draining fuel into an empty canister. Two-Face was 15 feet away. 10, 5. I capped it, struck a flare, and threw both. The resulting explosion engulfed Two-Face. Flames consumed both the regenerating forward face and the backward face, screaming as the flesh melted into ash. I emptied my service weapon into the inferno to make absolutely sure. Finally, silence. Behind me, the 7 people trapped in the circle at the community center were free, blinking, trembling, still too shocked to move closer. I shouted, "Stay back, don't get near it." They obeyed. Sirens echoed in the distance. Backup was finally arriving. Jordan's voice came from behind me. "You okay?" He was in civilian clothes, exhausted but alert. I nodded, still staring at the fire. "Is it dead?" "Yeah," I said. "This one's dead." Jordan looked at the burned remains and nodded slowly. "There will always be others. We stop them as they appear. That's all we can do." He paused. "Then we need to train the other officers. Teach them Protocol 7. Make sure everyone knows what to look for." "Will they believe us?" I asked. "They will if we show them evidence," he said. "If we document everything, make it official. The brass won't like it, but the alternative is more dead officers." 3 weeks later, the tribal police conference room was packed. Officers, dispatch, even BIA agents, and county deputies. Jordan and I stood at the front with Clayton. Behind us, the screen displayed photographs of the burn site, the community center, the remains of Two-Face. Jordan spoke first, recounting everything. Our encounters, the transformation, the protocols. Some officers were skeptical, others scared, a few already aware of the old stories. Clayton explained the history and reasoning behind each protocol. I explained Protocol 7 in detail, the paralysis, the blade-like elbows, the need for simultaneous destruction of both faces. A younger officer raised a hand. "What if we don't believe in this stuff?" Jordan didn't flinch. "Then you'll die, or worse, you'll become one, and your partner will have to kill you. Trust me, you don't want that." "How do we train for it?" another asked. "We can't exactly practice fighting monsters." "You practice the protocols," I said. "Mirrors, indirect observation, shooting without looking. Memorize the procedures, and hope you never need them." Clayton added, "Listen to the elders. They know, always have. This isn't new. It's just new to you." 6 months later, Protocol 7 was officially adopted. Every officer completed training. Jordan became a training officer, teaching recruits and veterans alike. I stayed on night patrol, covering the northern sector. In those 6 months, we encountered 3 more incidents. 2 confirmed Two-Face entities, 1 false alarm. Every real encounter followed Protocol 7. No one died. Both Two-Faces were destroyed. Two-Face would keep appearing. That's what it did. All we could do was stay vigilant, trained, and alive. Present day. 2 years since that first encounter. 2 years since Jordan almost became one. 2 years of training, protocols, vigilance. I'm writing this because Clayton said someone has to document it. Someone has to pass the knowledge on. So here it is. Two-Face is a transformed human. The process takes 3 to 4 days. It begins with headaches and a bump on the back of the head, ends with the second face fully formed, the original person gone. Eye contact paralyzes victims. Both faces can see independently. Once paralyzed, victims are killed with blade-like elbows. To fight it, never look directly. Use mirrors or peripheral vision. Disable elbows first if possible. Kill it by destroying both faces simultaneously. Fire or coordinated strikes. To prevent transformation, if someone makes eye contact, they have 3 to 4 days before completion. A medicine man can expel the darkness, but only if the person participates willingly. Warning signs, reports of people with 2 faces, unexplained deaths with puncture wounds, odd posture, missing persons after strange encounters. If you are law enforcement, take this seriously. Follow Protocol 7. Your life, and those you protect, depends on it. Last week, we were called to Rosebud Reservation. 3 bodies, same wounds, frozen terror. We taught Protocol 7. Skepticism turned to understanding once they saw the evidence. How long has this been happening? Their chief asked. Forever, Clayton said. Older than reservations, older than colonization. Always here. And spreading? Or maybe we're finally acknowledging it, I said. What do we do? Train your officers, Jordan said. Establish protocol. Catch it before it catches you. We spent 3 days there, training and preparing. We left knowing it was never over. Two-Face would keep hunting. We keep fighting, following the protocols, protecting our communities. That's what cops do. Even when the thing we fight comes from nightmares, even when it has 2 faces.